I'm also pleased to appear jointly at the start with my dear colleague, Ambassador Francisco Madeira, Special Representative of the Chairperson of the African Union Commission.
The United Nations Special Representative of the Secretary General for Somalia, James Swan, has called on Somali leaders, communities and partners to redouble their effort to eradicate conflict-related sexual violence in the country. Mr. James Swan said this in his statement to commemorate this year's International Day for the Elimination of Sexual Violence in Conflict. The Special Representative of the Secretary General for Somalia then paid tribute to the survivors of conflict-related sexual violence and recognized with deep appreciation the effort of those who work tirelessly to prevent such violence and provide critical support for survivors. This year's global theme is Building Back Better, Supporting Survivors of Conflict-Related Sexual Violence in the context of pandemic recovery, which in the wake of the pandemic requires an inclusive, survivor-centered and gender-informed approach. This includes amplifying the voices of women, girls, and all survivors, while at the same time addressing the root causes of the conflict and conflict-related sexual violence. Reports of sexual violence have significantly increased in Somalia in 2020 compared to the previous year, with the impact being compounded with the pandemic-related lockdowns and limited access to services and safe places. Rape and attempted rape were the most frequently reported forms of sexual violence in Somalia. Mr. James Swan, however, acknowledged the government of Somalia's continued commitment to eliminate sexual violence in conflict, specifically its effort to implement the joint communique on the prevention of sexual violence in conflict. He commended the recent Ministry of Defense's adoption of a human rights policy as well as issuing command orders prohibiting sexual violence through the respective chains of command of the army and police. The International Day for the Elimination of Sexual Violence in Conflict is commemorated every year on June 19, the day of the adoption of the First Security Council resolution to recognize conflict-related sexual violence as a weapon of war and threat to international peace and security. Kamel Sadiq reporting for CBA TV.